Hey, welcome guys. Today we're going to be painting and doing some decal application on our Tamiya M3A2 Halftrack. This is a personnel carrier that we did a review and built like a week or two ago. Finally got it all painted, all the stowage done. So there's a lot of stowage on here and there's a lot of interior pieces, and luckily the kit had a nice open top that allowed us to reach in and access some of these. So we're going to be using really probably 90% Vallejo paints and then maybe 10% some Ammo by Mig on the interior. On the exterior, we're going to do a primer coat in Tamiya's NATO Black. That's XF69. Can't get the glare to cooperate in the focus, but this gives it a nice dark finish, especially the passenger seat on the front side of the vehicle. It's going to be a little bit difficult, so just wanted to make sure we get some darkness in there in case we can't get some good paint. Now I've gone ahead and painted the underside in olive drab. I'm not concerned with that being light or dark, but I did first spray this with a NATO green, really, as you can see, concentrating on the panel lines. Not so much to try and pre-shade, but olive drab gets really, really dark really easily, especially after a clear coat. So what I wanted to make sure I didn't do is make this vehicle look too dark. I wanted it to have some brightness under it, so just brightened up the black a little bit and then sprayed it with XF62, the olive drab coat. And I don't really think much, if any, of the kind of pre-shading element of it shows through, but it definitely is lighter than some of the other, just putting it next to some of the other olive drab vehicles I have. This definitely did make it just a little bit brighter. It's more of like a dark green at this point. Probably could have just used a dark green color, but very happy with the way it turned out. And especially after the clear coat, I think it looks spot on to how it's, maybe supposed to look, how we see it in real life at least. So after that, we're going to do some road wheels and everything, and we're going to do a lot of this stuff by hand. So what I do for the road wheels, I have it's like a $2.50 brush from Tamiya. It looks like a samurai calligraphy brush, as you can see here. It's extremely dirty and old. I've had it for years and years, even though I keep acquiring new ones. I still keep using this one until it's no good, and then I have those reserves. But it's very, very soft, and it allows me to paint road wheels really, really easy with it because the bristles really cave into the recesses. And I haven't found a brush that works better. I've tried $20 brushes and they don't work as well as this one. So that, just wanted to show you guys quickly how I go about painting road wheels, and that's really on every single vehicle. I use the same brush. I did use Ammo by Mig's Atom rubber tire color, and it's a little bright. You guys can see and judge for yourself when you see the front tires in a shot later on. But it is what it is. It's easy to clean up and brush as well. So next up, we are doing all of the kind of seat covers, cushions on the interior, and we are using a Vallejo khaki color. Now, this vehicle is a great, and we'll get into this in a couple minutes here, but this is a great vehicle to use as many colors as possible on, because with all the stowage and the seats inside, and there's a lot of seats, you're going to have a lot of khaki color. Now, that can easily just look like a big blob of khaki, and it does a little bit until we kind of weather some of this stuff, but I have like three different, I like Tamiya khaki, there's khaki drab, there's a Vallejo khaki, and they are all a little bit different. So we'll get into that, like I said, later, but we're using Vallejo khaki on the interior here. And really, reason being is It's much easier to brush. It stays in your palette well for a lot longer than Tamiya, and it's easier to clean up and things like that. So I originally would have done this with like a Tamiya and some paint retarder, but I find this to be a lot easier, and um, it goes down in one coat. This is just a singular coat I'm doing. I'm not thinning it that much, just trying to get it thin enough to brush and kind of, um, reach up to those edges, but not pool over them, but also be thick enough that one coat will do the trick here. Because especially around the edges and things, we don't want to, the more we try to brush against the edges of these seats, the more chance there is to brush, over the line and then have to go back and clean up, and it never looks as good. So try to do it in one go if you can, while the paint still being thin enough. I did use Vallejo's their thinner, so increase the drying time and everything like that. Try to get a little bit more of an even coat. And always remember, the paint pools up on the edges of your brush, so work up to the edges. Don't just immediately go to try to paint the edge, because you will paint over. Start from the middle and just slowly, and almost like a circular pattern, slowly try to work out. Here you can see I do have a little bit of paint over the line, and we'll come back and we'll fix that, but not bad. Uh, my hand has been shakier. Some days it was steady this day, so pretty happy with the first go there. And I'm just going to take the same brush I use for chipping, a really, really small brush with the olive drab, and clean up that khaki color. Next up, we have painted the dash black, flat black. I painted the guns flat black and the radios. I didn't show it on camera, but what we're going to do here is take a little bit of this is like a gunmetal color. Really, any metallic color works. They all kind of look the same, honestly, once you dry brush them. But we're going to dry brush the instrument panels and basically everything that we painted flat black. Maybe not the steering wheel, but on the radio, it's going to make the radio look a lot more metallic colored. It's going to bring out definition in the knobs. On the dash of the vehicle, it's going to accentuate all the details. And on the guns, it's going to make them look like a 50 and a 30 caliber actually do, right? It's a little bit black, it's a little bit gunmetal colored. So I just find this to be really, really quick, easy method to add a ton of detail without really, it takes a brush, a paper towel, and a minute of your time to really, really make the guns look a lot more realistic, make the instrument panel more interesting. Even though you can't see that well inside, up against the instrument panel, it is a very, very open top, so trying to add as much detail as I can without, again, I'm not breaking my back here or doing anything too crazy, but this really brings out a lot of the minor detail, and it's always nice to get a different color in there. Again, there's a lot of khaki and green going on, so you can see I've already done the 30 calibers. And on the guns, when you paint them black and then dry brush them with the metallic color, you can go pretty heavy. It's less of a dry brush. I really don't mind if it's a combination of like wet brush and dry brush. I don't mind if I get a lot of silver on it, just as long as it's like that half silver, half black color. So you can see there the 30 cal, you really have both colors showing through, which is really what we want. Yes, we want to highlight the details, but we also want to get both colors kind of going on there. So we should be able to see a little bit into the dash. But as you can see, really happy with the way the guns turned out. Always think that's a good color for those. So yeah, it's hard to get light in there, hard to get my camera to focus in there, but picture the guns, that's what the instrument panel looks like. Here we go, this is a little bit better. So you could easily go in and, you know, paint those dials white and paint the buttons and everything. I don't feel like doing that, especially with it already built up. So this just, again, it's an easy way to add detail to a part that, yeah, we might look at it once, but we're not going to be close up inspecting it and shining light in there. Next up, I have a lot of stowage to paint up. I have, as you can see, paint jigs. That is, I'm blanking on the name now. The sticky tack is the blue stuff. Like you would hang like a poster or a whiteboard on your wall. Same stuff, bought it at, I think, Staples for like a couple bucks. It is reusable, which is very, very nice and very convenient for painting things like stowage. So as you can see, this isn't even all the colors that I used, but I used like a Soviet yellow green. There was a new wood, matte earth, khaki. I even used a Vallejo olive drab to paint the ammo cans and things like that, just to make them a slightly different color, because the Vallejo olive drab and the Tamiya olive drab are actually very, very different. If you paint them on the vehicle, I did a little bit on the bottom and just inspected. So that just brings out a little bit more tone variation and things like that. Now, I unfortunately wasn't able to, if you watch the build video, there are 2 sets of stowage that go on the front fenders. This is, it doesn't, obviously doesn't point it out in the instructions because this is aftermarket stowage, but if you put the jerry cans on this vehicle, those stowage items will not fit. So just keep that in mind. I really like the jerry cans, and there's enough stowage already that we don't need it on the fenders, but it would have completed the look. It is what it is. So we are going to use, this is a little bit tricky. You can see there's the tracks. We'll have to maybe try to fix those. They're a little bit circular, but we use super glue for all of the stowage. Now, super glue, I have had the experience where it changes the color of the paint, and you know, once you stick it on, it's on there and you can't really take it off. So I use a lot of, I went really, really slow. I made sure that I wanted everything where it was supposed to be, and that it was going to, like dry fitting, right? Like you would with parts. So you can use like PVA glue, like a, you know, glue that dries white. The Ammo by MIG, the clear part in like photo etch glue really works well. As at the same time, it doesn't hold right away. And because there were so many vertical surfaces, I wanted to just use the super glue. Now, I don't know how accurate, you know, bags hanging off the turret would be, but I just thought, hey, what the heck? It adds some detail, because those pieces were just completely flat and honestly very boring looking. So I said, why not? And just did it. There's also, I think it was like 8 M1 Grands that come in the kit as well. So I just painted those up really quick and added those to the gun racks in the back. They don't give you enough, unfortunately, to fill up both gun racks, but I don't know. I was about to look through my extra part bin and see if I could find others, but it is what it is. It gives it a little bit of interest having odd numbers, I guess. Next thing I did is the exhaust, and it's not painted perfectly under the vehicle. I just made sure to get the piece that you can see. I use the same color pattern that Tamiya suggests, which is like 2 drops of XF64 red brown to 1, what is it, XF56, the metallic gray, that they suggest in a lot of their new kits for exhaust. So you can see the exhaust poking out. Thought it was just add a little bit of interest there. Next up, as you can see, I clear coated in Tamiya's TS13, which is their gloss coat. And you can see how much darker the vehicle has gotten under this gloss coat. So just imagine if we didn't have it as bright as it was, what it would look like. So very happy with how that turned out. And on to decals, or decals if you're in the UK. The decal on the front is very, very big and took a lot of mark fit. So just keep that in mind. There is another option that doesn't use the circle around the white star. I just like the way that looks, so I went that route, which is it's the more difficult route for decals, but it is what it is. And I think it came out okay in the end. I'm not gonna break my back over it. It was like a $19 kit. Just having fun with it. But I did poke very small holes where the hinges are under the carrier film, which I think really helped it settle there. The only thing that I couldn't get perfect were the decals in like the panel lines. So you'll see. We'll do a close up of it later. I use quite a bit of mark fit on that one, and like always, I found with decals in general to use really as hot as water that will come out of my faucet, and it comes out hot enough to burn my hand. So I'll run it for a good 2 or 3 minutes, well, minute or two, get it really really hot, and then I have all my stuff on my station set up, ready to go, so I can use that water as hot as it is supposed to be, and that really helps with these Tamiya decals, which traditionally are thicker than a cartograph or some of these other decals, and it just helps them go down. It releases them on the paper so much quicker than if you were to use like room temperature or cold water or anything. So I don't think it's a necessity unless you're building like a Tamiya kit, and then I think that is a huge help. The decal on the front grille. Again, this is one you don't have to do this. I just like the challenge. You have to cut it. It comes as like a whole star, and then you have to cut it with a like a hobby X-Acto knife. And they do give you markings of where to cut it. Mine, it's almost perfect. There was a little bit of a mess up at one point, but once it's on and the paint's on and everything, I'm at least relieved to say you can't really notice. If you put a magnifying glass up to it, you might, but a little bit tricky of a decal to get on and make sure that everything's the right size. But it looks cool. As I rotate the vehicle, once this one's dry, you kind of see the star look. It looks like it's not lined up, and then as it rotates, it gets lined up. And I don't know. I think that one looks really really cool. Couple more decals. There's not a ton in this kit, which is always nice, but just enough in some of these more open areas. Just again, add some color to, a plain green vehicle is always nice. It's especially white. I think it is a great look. So aside from, there's 2 stars in the front, 1 on the back. Then there's 4 of these that are going to go on the front and rear fenders. And the ones in the rear front fenders are a little bit tricky. I couldn't get my camera honestly low enough to film it. I figured it was probably okay, but little bit tricky, and those take a lot of mark fit as well because there's some like bolts and things back there, and they have to go, as you can see, the one on the left, they have to go in that little between the 2 raised ridges there. So once we get those all lined up, as you could see earlier, I already started applying mark fit to the big star, as I knew that was going to take many fixes or many layers of that. But now we're just going to go around, and I would say I probably put like 2 to 3 layers on all of the decals, really minus the big star in the front. I feel like I did 10. It could have been 5, it could have been 15. I don't know. It just felt like I just kept having to do it. As you can see, this is probably after 2 or 3 coats of it already, and it's still not really settling down. It seems like you'll do 3 coats and it does nothing, and then the 4th coat, all of a sudden, it's like perfect. So let it dry completely is my best advice. If there's even still the tiniest bit of liquid left on it, just let it dry. So that is what we are. It's still drying a little bit, but that's what we were dealing with. Had a little bit of spillover on the hinges, which I did this. I did some of the layers in between errands and things, so I think it just dripped down. You can't see it too bad once the TS80 goes over, though. It really covers up a lot of that, but you want to make sure that you don't have anything pooling up, because even the water from your faucet has minerals, and things dry and collect different colors there, but nothing we can't really hide with any of the weathering. So we have a lot of stowage on here. Going to be a lot of dry brushing and things on that later, but happy with the way the decals went down, and happy with the fact that there aren't a million of them on here. Sometimes when you're building a plane and there's like 50 decals, it's kind of a turn off for me, if I'm being honest. There's some of the detail on the interior. And there's a good shot. You can see the color of Ammo by Meg's rubber tires. It's not that it's not realistic. I've seen tires that have that kind of color to them when it's like dry in the summer. It's just, if they're new in the shop, they're going to be a lot darker than that, and I don't know. I I like the Atom paint a lot. It's really nice to use, and it self levels and everything like that, and it's easy to brush. It cleans up well, but it looks better on the rear wheels than it does on the front. And yes, there is a large seam on the front of those vinyl wheels. Vinyl's very difficult to clean up. So I think I tried with the sanding stick, although I knew it kind of wouldn't work, and it didn't work, and I just said screw it. Again, it's like a $20 kit. I'm not going to worry about that too much. So if that is something that you're worried about, there are aftermarket wheels and things for this kit. If you don't feel like trying to, there you can see that pretty well. If you don't feel like cleaning that up, if you don't care, the wheels that come with it are nice because they're removable, and that means that you can paint them separately and then bring them over. But if you guys have made it this far, and you haven't already, I would please ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. The next video in this series will be for weathering this kit. We'll do some weathering on the interior, and then obviously on the exterior as well. And we will be doing many more model kits in 2025 and the years to come as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I definitely enjoyed building this one. I went out and it's already sold out everywhere online. The AA version, the anti-aircraft version of this kit, was available in my local store. So I was able to scoop that one up. We will probably be building that at some point next year. But in case they don't get reprinted, I would absolutely suggest getting this kit. This was unavailable for the longest time unless you wanted to pay over for it. So had a ton of fun building this one. Again, would absolutely recommend it. And we will see you on the next video. Appreciate you guys watching.